pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sonia, could you roll call?
Yep, Commissioner Scott.
Here.
Commissioner Corbin.
Here.
Commissioner Digital.
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you, the agenda, but I believe that we want to remove item number 6 under new business from tonight's agenda. So do we have a motion to adopt as amendment?
We don't want to move number 6.
Right there.
Discussion. That's number 3.
Is it number 3 in the nuisance?
Do I have a copy?
It should be number 3.
Okay, let me,
Yeah.
Here, take this.
okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda by removal of number 3, the nuisance violation.
yeah, I see it here, okay. All right. Do we have a second?
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no appearances or acknowledgements, is there anything anyone wants to discuss or remove from the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. On unfinished business, second reading of ordinance number 1660, property tax levy. And there is no change from first reading. Anyone have any questions, comments? Motion?
Make a motion to approve second reading of ordinance 1660.
Second.
Okay. And public hearing on the assessment roll for this, pardon?
You want to be able to approve the reading?
Yes. Do we have a motion?
We got a motion.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Rules followed.
On number 2, public hearing on the assessment roll for sidewalk repair improvements. And those are as listed in your packet. Is there anything, any questions there? Sonia, do you have anything to add on those?
The repair one, the one that I just gave you a new one of, and it just has one less person on it.
Okay. Question, comments? Do we have a motion? Did you have anything to add on here, right there?
Yeah, you're just listening.
Yep.
You're just asking if there's anyone that in the public that wants to speak, then you'll go to the new business to do this.
Public hearing on the assessment roll for sidewalk improvement 2022. Okay. Under new business, adopt resolution 2023-23, adopt and levy sidewalk repair improvements number 2022. Okay. And on this one here, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2023, adopt and levy sidewalk repair improvement 2022.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 2, adopt resolution 2023-24, adopt and levy sidewalk improvements for 2022. Again, any questions, comments? Or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-24, adopt and levy sidewalks improvements 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. On number 4, approve resolution 2023-25, providing support for Lake County property tax opt-out. Jameson, do you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution that we have provided in the packet, which is in line with our strategic plan. Specifically, our principle number 2, strengthening collaboration, goal 5, strategy number 2, in case anybody's following along there. So the resolution states some factual background on throughout the whereas clauses for the county property tax opt-out, which vote is coming up on September 19th. We do recommend some kind of either amendment or alternate action for the be it resolved clause. After we put together on Friday, we realized that there's a potential conflict with the state statute, which says that municipalities can't spend money to support or oppose any elections or ballot issues such as this one. In this case, while we're not spending any money on an advertising campaign or anything per se, we would have to be paying money to publish this resolution in the newspaper. So albeit it's a small cost, we do recommend changing the language to make sure that we're not out of compliance with that state statute. So for the options that you would have tonight, I would say you could either discuss the topic, this be option 1. We've got some representatives in the county, so if there's questions for what they are proposing or how this is working, we can ask questions of them, and you can have a robust discussion on the opt-out vote that's coming up. And then you could just simply take no action, and then this resolution would not be published, and no public funds would be expended. Or option 2, I have amendments available that would change the language in the resolve clause to encouraging citizens to learn about both sides of the election in order to make an educated vote. And I will pass that out in case that's a potential amendment you'd want to extend. And there's a couple extra copies that Kelly can have in the end there, media, anybody else would like a copy. Or option 3, you could simply amend the resolution by taking that resolve clause out and not putting anything back in. Either way, I think the goal here is to have a public conversation and to engage with our friends over at the county and to understand what they're looking at doing as well. And then you guys can decide which of those options best suits how you move forward. I'd say, I guess I'll just go back to the opt-out. So this is a opt-out of the property tax formula, which allows the county to collect more levy on the county levy. This does not change the taxes to the school or to the city or to the water development district. This only changes the taxes to the county on their levy. And this would be for a 5-year period, and it would be for a total of 2.8 million. And I think at that point, I'll just stand by for any questions, and I'm sure anybody from the county here would be happy to answer some as well.
Well, knowing a little bit about the history of, going back to when property taxes were froze and the maximum they could go up was 3% or the CPI. And at that point in time, and that Lake County had used their reserves to lower their taxes and then got it froze. Neighboring counties did things differently. Neighboring counties also, from the research and that I've seen, don't have as many blacktop roads to maintain as Lake County does. And so as the states in here, Lake County itself maintains over 200 miles of paved roads and 85 gravel roads and 51 bridges. And if you go back to when Janko put in that freeze, 3% is in no way kept up at all with the expenses of repairing roads or replacing bridges. So if this is something in that the doesn't pass, the thing that I fear, and that is people are gonna be surprised and say, well, why mine? Why here? Why this? Why that? It's also not cheap to maintain a gravel road. So from what I've gathered in that 2.8 million is to maintain what they have now, not necessarily to add to, the repairs that are needed on a lot of the roads around. So it's important that people look, see, ask questions, and make an informed decision when they vote. But it is also important that people vote. So. Any other comments?
are there any ideas of what would be cut, or are we allowed to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are all reasonable questions for the county. I don't know what their answers will be, but that would be something we could ask.
What services would be maybe first on the chopping
Most
block?
likely affected.
We've cut our budget as much as we can right now. But even vending our thing.
And Deb, if you wouldn't mind coming up so that the microphone picks it up for those people who are either watching it while it's recorded. And,
Why don't Kelly come up
and
with?
Kelly, would you join her?
Yeah.
You know, I think they're fair questions and, I fear what people will see in that because of the shortfall.
Well, for one thing, our provisional budget is, we can't cut anymore. And we're down to not very much in our savings account, as we call it. And we've, might have to take and grind up some roads, put them back to gravel or the base, you know. So we're at that point where we don't know what we're gonna do really. It's gonna be hard, and our budget that we did today doesn't even include this if it passes. Doesn't even include this. So,
So likely roads would
um,
we become gravel?
no,
Do you have a list, a hierarchy list, or?
we haven't gone that far yet, Julie.
Would there
One
be
of, one of
positions
the
cut?
things,
Sorry, would there be positions cut, or would you have less staff?
We've thought about, going into some of the lesser of the list that we have from the state that we have to abide by. There's,
Yeah.
And then-
Statutory and, you know,
Statutory and-
and those.
Mhm.
And right now, we're too short in the highway department. And, I mean, it's just something we're gonna really have to think about.
probably one of the first things people will notice is when it comes to snow removal. Because there's, you know, there's roads and that, you know, if there's only someone half mile down the road, that may be all that gets cleaned. And if there's people who wanna use that road from the other direction and that, as an, out by a piece that I have on 238. That east half mile, was so filled with snow last year and that it wasn't, cleared.
Well, and there's a lot of farmers, God bless their soul, that get themselves out to a road and help us in that respect, but we can't rely on that. I mean, I'm sure Darwin tries to get you guys out, yeah.
We as a commission, we can educate, but we can't advocate.
I get that, so how are we educating, what are we,
We did some town hall meetings that,
okay, that basically just went over the,
Well, it was a packet. Shelley's got an extra one, you can have this. You want it? I've only got the one, there hasn't, look at it. We had 2 town hall meetings, Tracy,
Yeah,
so there's not a list of
nothing yet, Julie.
what will,
no,
Be
but we
effective.
didn't budget this year in hopes that this would pass. We couldn't do that.
right?
So we cut like, there's not gonna be any overlaying. Chip sealing, we cut that way down.
We cut quite a bit off of the highway
So, I mean,
department
we
because
just-
it's an easier,
So
Well-
roads, they, you know, for the most part,
pardon,
roads, so what,
Roads aren't mandated, where a lot of the services the county provides are mandated by the state and they're unfunded mandates.
And we don't have the option to take and we don't have the infrastructure to raise sewer, water rates. You know, where it was sometimes, we could do that on some of our developments, but we can't. So we're just kind of, the old saying, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, you know, so we're kind of in that hard spot.
I know a huge percentage of the money goes to schools. What percent of the taxes, not in the county actually go to the county.
About 20.
20%.
About
19 to
20%.
20%.
So about 20% of property taxes paid actually support the county,
Rest is passed.
and the rest of it is passed through to other entities.
To the school and our.
The schools are, I often wondered that when I first started, I thought, where do they get that number and, for the schools, and it's a legislative, process. We have no control over that. And we have no control over quite a few things that are mandated by the state for us to do. There's a whole list for us to do, no matter what the cost is, we have to come up with that money at the end. You can guess on some things, but
We get our little books out that we've gotten from the state legislature, but we have to do this, we have to give to this and this, but we don't hear and. You know, we want to give to your community what we can.
That 20%, is that if you're living in the city limits or within the county?
That's
It's all.
It's all
overall,
across
across the board.
so in. Wherever that little deal went that I passed around, it shows. Okay, well, I don't know, it's by heart. There's one that shows like if your house is assessed at 100,000 or 150, this is what your taxes would go up.
It was in the paper too, there's page.
Mhm.
It was in the paper.
Yeah, they had put it in the paper too.
That's go through the program.
Are you anticipating any impact to public safety?
that's another thing, that's mandated by the state, where we will have to do what we can do to still make it safe and.
Yeah, I can see how there's not any easy place, there's no fat that you guys are aware of that you can cut.
We cut as much as we can without cutting employees.
That's services too.
Right.
Mhm.
Institutional knowledge, a lot of times that if you were to get rid of some of the staff.
How long would the opt-out last?
Pardon me?
How long would the opt-out last?
5 years, I think is what we decided.
Are you gonna do any additional education leading up to that election on the 19th?
Well, we did our 3 town halls,
Sure.
and I don't know if we've got time to put another one together. I mean, the paper's been very generous with us. Rand has put a good article, as Zach has done it, They've backed us that way, but we can't. We can educate.
We can't promote ourselves.
We can't promote
We can't.
ourselves. I mean, we can't even put anything in the paper as a commission. That's why we're kind of reaching out and all the support we can get.
How well attended were the town halls there?
Pretty good, I think, yeah. The first one we had at the commission room. And then second was the commission, and then we had one at the hillside. The hillside was, I think that Roy was at the hillside one. Yeah, they were, I mean, not with our population, not, but I would say 150 at the one at the hillside, the others were a little smaller. But those that were interested came.
You know that there's a summer study that's going on at the legislative session or in the summer. And they have, for as many years as I've been around, this is the most that I've ever seen. Shelley Gust and I had attended that out there and testified on our county's behalf. And they, that's the most discussion and the most in-depth that I have ever seen There's a couple other times where the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners went out. And I was part of that as well. That was, I don't remember what year, but now there, I think that it's starting to sink in, or we're making some headway on, how it is affecting not just us,
Every county.
but every county.
Yeah, it's a major issue.
And Dennis even made the remark at one of our commission meetings. There was talk about consolidation of counties, because a county can't go bankrupt. Do we want that?
Would that actually fix the problem, or
No, it probably
you're not
wouldn't.
changing the number of services or
Mhm.
roads or
It
anything?
probably wouldn't help.
Might consolidate some of the administration, I think it just kicks the can down the road for the
Mhm.
counties that do that.
It's just maybe putting a Band-Aid to try and temporarily fix it.
I guess I grew up in a state that taxed the living tar out of their people, and I guess if we want things to be, and we want roads, we have to pay for it. And that's just unfortunately how it goes, and you know, we live in a state that doesn't highly tax our people, and I appreciate that, but I also appreciate driving on nice roads and bridges as well. I mean, all these roads that get beaten up do a lot of damage to vehicles, and that's
Well, and our roads weren't made for the equipment that are on them.
not anymore, not like it used to.
I mean, it was different how many years ago? So to even maintain what we have, this money isn't gonna go very far.
Related to the school, you wanna give a good education, it costs money, we wanna have nice roads, it costs money, we wanna have good infrastructure, it costs money, we have to pay for those things. I mean, I get it, I fully do it. Unfortunately, the way the county is set up is very different than the way the city is set up when it
It
comes
is.
to taxes, and I don't
Yeah.
think people can really grasp and understand that sometimes. The
Right,
structure
we don't,
is very
we don't, no county, benefits from the state or from sales tax.
Correct.
We don't take in any sales tax, we can't dream up of any sales tax, or we can't, that kind of sort of thing, and I guess that ties your hands, it's mainly property taxes.
And that's it, right?
No wheel tax or anything.
We have wheel tax, it is at its limit right now. Mhm.
Over the last couple of years and that I spoke with legislators and that, about addressing the same thing that's going before the legislatures, for this summer study. And they said, counties have options. They have the opt-out. If people don't want to take care of the roads, then the people can vote it down. They have, the wheel and, the road and bridge tax. And the people, if they don't want those roads and bridges fixed, they can vote it down. And so, the legislators that I talked to said, if they haven't exhausted all of their options, don't come to the legislature and look for them to fix it. So it does leave it in the hands of the local people. If you don't want good roads to drive on, vote it down. If you don't want good bridges to cross, or you want to, if the bridge isn't safe and they close it, those are the things you need to be educated on and aware of, and be thinking about the future instead of just, the next minute in front of you.
Well, we don't wanna, in our educating of the public, we don't wanna go backwards by making our roads gravel, we wanna move forward.
Right.
For the future of our kids and our grandkids and that, so.
I just put a windshield in. So,
We're really fortunate to live in Lake County. We have many lakes. That's why we're named Lake County. We have 3 major highways that come through our county. There's a lot of counties that don't have that. We're just very fortunate for where we live.
and the state has done a nice job with the roads coming to Madison. Highway 34 to the interstate, Highway 19 to the Interstate 90. The state has done a nice job, maintaining those roads and that for the citizens, in this area. So. But not everybody lives on Highway 34 or Highway 19.
So we're kind of here hoping that you will support us.
Or however you wanna word it.
Or however you want to word it,
And word it.
for educating the public and stuff, but
Mind if I read what's on here?
You're the chair.
What's been put together, it says, whereas Lake County employs 71 employees throughout 17 departments. And whereas the departments of Lake County provide necessary public services and infrastructure, including highways and bridges, public safety, county jail, emergency management, 911 communications, judicial services, vehicle licensing, elections, keeping of records, financial welfare assistance, veterans benefits and services assistance, property assessments, and more. And whereas statewide, approximately 80% of county expenditures are for statutorily required functions. And whereas Lake County maintains over 200 miles of paved roads, 85 miles of gravel roads, and 51 bridges. And whereas Lake County experienced a deficit in 2022, resulting in usage of the majority of its reserve funds, and the deficit is expected to continue. And whereas Lake County has decreased certain expenditures in its budget in an attempt to balance the budget. And whereas Lake County explored options for increasing revenue to balance the budget and identified an opt-out of the property tax formula as the preferred method to increase the necessary revenues to sustain services at the current level to Lake County residents. And whereas a special election for an opt-out in the amount of $2.8 million will be held on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. And then I'm gonna read my preferred ending. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Commission of the City of Madison encourages its citizens to learn about both sides of the opt-out election in order to make an educated vote on the issue. And so hopefully in that, people will look and say, if this goes through, we can maintain. If it doesn't go through and that, the county has some serious decisions to make. Any other questions? Comments? Comments from the audience? Yes, sir. Would you come up closer to the microphone, please?
My name's Steve Cant, and I'm opposed to the opt-out. Couple of clarifications from what you just heard, and then I'll leave it up to your choice in the matter. The town halls were highly attended, and they had numerous questions asked of the board. When the board had the town halls, they presented two options, actually a third option. Number one, road and bridge tax, which would have raised 1.2 million, just under. Opt out 1.5 million, or a combination thereof. The consensus with the majority of the people that attended those town halls was to go the road and bridge option. The commission was asked numerous times not to do both because that would be too costly for the property tax payers. And then all of a sudden they come up with 2.8, don't know where that came from, but that's what happened there. The commission did have an opportunity to refer to a vote at that time. They declined to do so. So 15 people in this county went out and collected over 700 signatures. We had the 402 verified, therefore we get the special election. In your resolution, you state that the county experienced a deficit in 2022 and they had to use their reserve fund to balance their budget. Look back on their website, they've been in a deficit for 12 years. 12 years in a row, they've used reserve money to balance their budget. They sit here and they tell you that roads will be the only thing impacted. That's not true. Last year in this year's budget, they cut $780,000 out of the road budget, but they still needed 1.6 million to balance their budget. So where is all the other money going to? I don't get it. They won't tell you where the 2.8 is gonna be spent. And I can't just sit here and say it's gonna be on roads, because it's not gonna be that way. They've decreased the road budget again this year. Obviously, they had to do something in their provisional budget to get it to balance. Understandable, but they still used another 600,000 or so dollars to balance it out. You know, they had 1.7 left over. They used a good chunk of it again to balance it. And yeah, that can't go on forever. I understand that. But 2.8 million is excessive, and it's too costly for the property taxpayers in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, would you, yes,
Maybe
yeah.
all the comments.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Yes.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
I just kind of want to reiterate what he said. I attended, the meeting in which they were discussing property taxes. I did hear about the town halls. I spoke with numerous people who attended them. When given the option, I believe it was Deb had asked the audience at the commission meeting who would support, a road and bridge levy. Everybody raised their hand. And they chose not to vote on it that day and instead chose to vote on this. So I asked the city not to support this at all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Governance. How are you all?
Good.
My name is Brooke Rolla. I'm the executive director at the Lake Area Improvement Corporation. I'm here to state that the LAIC stands in support of the Lake County opt-out. The county has been surviving on reserve funds. Those funds are depleted. We all know that. The county serves consisting of 17 departments, 70 employees, and they're necessary. They're absolutely necessary for us to continue to grow and to evolve. So these departments provide EMS, they help keep our roads safe for ambulances, police, the fire department, buses. And so we stand in complete support of the county's proposal for the opt-out. So we thank the county commissioners for their time and taking action at a local level. So I appreciate you guys having fun looking into that.
And the question was stated up here just briefly in that wasn't sure where the money went. 80% of the county expenditures are for statutorily required functions required by the state of South Dakota. So that only leaves 20% for a lot of the other things in that I read in the first statement. So when it said that they're not sure where the other dollars go, 80% of it's required expenditures by the state. So.
Can I ask a question of our commissioners?
Yes.
I mean, I think it's a good question as far as you had two options there. So as the county commission debated those two options, what led you to the one that you pursued?
The one we led to,
If you wouldn't mind coming up to closer to the microphone for those that are hard to hear.
You want to make sure you get your steps in today, so.
Yes.
pardon me?
Make sure you get your steps in today.
Yes.
Kind of like when you, we had the, IMS, is it IMS?
Oh, coming to our road
The-
study.
We had the road study done. And they told us exactly what all we need to keep them at the level that they're at right now. Or make them better. The opt-out was the better choice in that amount. Because it's kind of like if you go to the hospital and you need 10 staples. And they only give you 3. It just wasn't gonna cover it. This was a 5-year deal and, it was the better choice for us.
Okay, thank you. It's a, they brought up good points, so I wanted to get an
Okay.
answer. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions or comments? Okay. Commissioners,
And I'll reiterate before your discussion too, I think, and thanks to the public for coming. I think this is one reason why we wanted to have this on the agenda, is to have some public discourse, to hear both sides to it. So the public has another opportunity to hear that. For your decision today, again, you can essentially take no action after this discussion, or you can amend it in some way to either remove or replace that problematic language. But I'll let you continue with your discussion.
I guess my personal opinion, as a commissioner, one of the most common complaint that I feel is our roads, not only the county level, city level as well. And so that's one of the reasons why I think this is needed. But with that being said, at least me personally, I think we could do a better job of educating, and maybe that's not our role. Maybe the county or LAIC or some other entity can help with that. But I think we could definitely do better, and maybe it is more town hall meetings or something of the sort, but I think people need more education.
I think you're referencing the specifics on what could or should or may happen or may not. But that, it doesn't sound like there's a plan mapped out yet for that.
Your thoughts on tabling this till the next meeting and reading it again?
you can make a motion.
Because we have a meeting prior to that.
We'd have a meeting on Monday, the 18th. The election would be on Tuesday today.
There's no immediate need to act on anything here.
But we can do this all over again in 2 weeks, is what I was thinking.
Probably gets, if nothing else, it brings it out in the light that people do need to get educated, those that aren't. I do have, $2.8 million is a lot of money, and like I said earlier, if we want nice roads, you gotta pay for nice roads, but I think the education piece of where that $2.8 million is going to go to, what that looks like, or what are we maintaining? I think there's some importance in that as well.
Could I make a short comment? Would
Come
that
to
be
the microphone,
appropriate?
please.
I believe that you guys are, I believe the county commission has, you're selling the public short. The public is better educated than what you think. And I don't know how to stress enough that the public is fed up with their taxes going up so high. I offered during the commission meeting so-called compromise. And they were gonna have none of it. They were gonna have none of it. And I truly believe that those 700 people that signed those petitions, they totally understood what they were signing and that they were coming right out and telling the commission that, no, that is just excessive. And that's all I want to say.
So let me ask you this,
Yes.
you're not opposed to your taxes being raised?
Not realistically, if it's a realistic amount, no, I'm
Sure.
not.
Okay.
If I was convinced that the monies would be used wisely, I don't have a problem paying more. I already pay more. We live at Wentworth Park. We have a road district to take care of our road. So on top of our school tax, our county tax, our township tax, East Dakota, we have the Wentworth Fire, we pay for them as well. You know, and we have our road district that we pay. We redid our road in 2020 and each homeowner paid $3,700. And I paid twice because I have a vacant lot across the road. You know, so no, I'll pay my fair share if it's something that we're gonna see some benefit. You know, there's 8 road districts on the lakes. Because the county doesn't have the wherewithal or feel the need to do anything there. And for them to sit and say that we're just gonna grind up these roads. Come on. Yeah, you might do a little bit here and there, but overall, the whole county's not gonna have all their paved roads ground up. You know, it's just, I called it theater during some of these town halls, some of the things that were discussed, and I still believe that today. But my main reason for coming back up here is to tell you that the people are educated. They do understand what's going on, and give them a little bit of credit because they do know.
I'm not telling them that they're not educated, what I'm saying in the big picture, I think there's not just 700 residents in Lake County.
No, I understand.
For me, I didn't dig into all this, and I guess I don't need to, if I need to pay, if I want nice roads, I'm gonna pay the tax.
But if you're offered options during the town halls, during their education sessions, it was their education sessions. Road and Bridge 1.2, opt out 1.5, where do you come up with 2.8 right at the last second? It has never been.
That's where the education piece is what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
And I'll add that I hope we can get, further into the population too. I mean, 700 is a big group of people, but when you have a county population of, I'm gonna say 11,000, 700 people's 7-8% of population. And I'm hoping that we can encourage everybody to have a better turnout than.
We had 20 days to
7%.
get 402 signatures to put it on the ballot. And we turned in over 700 signatures within that 20-day time period.
And I'm not.
And yes, I understand what
I'm
you're
hoping we
saying
can
as
get a
well.
good chunk of
but-
the population.
We did this in 2017 when they passed the road and bridge option. And the people spoke by 82% of the people said, no, we're not gonna pay that extra tax.
So they did propose a road and bridge one in
Oh, yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
But if road and bridge one would still pass this time around. Exactly.
Yes, I do. I do. I think we were just discussing numbers at the commission. And I said, ask for 1.2 opt out. And you take that along with what you had to put in reserves and what you had to cut from the road budget last year. You're back up to even numbers again. And Deb's comment was, how about 1.4? I said, no, I'm gonna sit here and say 1.2. And they said, no, we're gonna go with the 2.8. And I says, you could end up with 0. So.
Well, I remember if it wasn't last year, year before last, and that 459 wasn't able to be repaired and started the grinding process. And it took the local people to chip in money along with the state of South Dakota to repair that short stretch right there, and that goes to Walker's Point.
That was ridiculous, that whole little piece of road went on and on and on for years and years and years until it finally got taken care of last summer. That was ridiculous. That township and county involvement with that little piece of road, especially when GF&P said, hey, we're gonna kick in 20% of the money just because it's going to our state park, and people didn't take advantage of that.
That was a township road.
Yeah,
Township road.
Never been a
It's
county.
not a.
Well, in the townships,
I know, but the county,
townships are in the same boat,
okay, fine,
so.
we have our differences. That little piece
Alright.
of road should have been taken care of years ago.
Takes money to do that. So. Any other comments? Okay. Where would the commission like to go? Corbin, you had a thought?
I did.
Is it still there?
I don't know.
We're not approving this is an art.
All we're doing is encouraging people to be educated and make an educated decision.
Learn about it, don't forget about it, and let your voice be heard by voting.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented,
Amended.
as amended.
And I'll note that one amendment that I missed was the title. We would want to switch the title to a resolution related to the Lake County property tax, out, not providing support.
All it's doing is just telling people to get educated and go out and vote.
That's
Second.
the amended title.
Resolution 2023-25A.
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, thank you for those of, that, visited on this subject. Number 5, approved Madison Athlete Development Facility Naming Rights Agreement. And Brooke, would you want to address that, or Jameson?
Brooke, come on up. I'll give a quick background. So the LAIC has been working to convert the old Runnings building or Campbell Supply building into a recreation facility. And they've committed to do this at no, cost to the city, who would ultimately take the keys and operate the facility. As part of doing that, they need to, find ways to generate revenue. So they have them engaged with First Bank and Trust to have a naming rights agreement, where they would have their name as part of the facility for 20 years, and then they would make payments of $125,000 in total over 10 years. They also contribute another $25,000 towards signage to help get that appropriate signage on there. I don't think that there's a specific name for the facility yet, just knowing that First Bank and Trust, or maybe there is, I don't know.
There is, you want me to
Okay.
make the big
I'll
announcement?
turn it over to you right there.
Yeah, First Bank and Trust Sportsplex, so there's official press release that went out, I think today. I think it was actually released, Friday.
It was in today's paper.
Was it in today's paper? Thanks, Zach. And so we're very excited, we're thankful, for First Bank and Trust generous contribution to the facility. But that does grant them, and that we're happily granting them the naming rights of the facility. So First Bank and Trust Sportsplex is the official name. So we can stop calling it the old Runnings.
Yeah. The old Campbell Supply.
Yeah.
Very good. Questions or comments?
So it's a three-way agreement with LAIC, the city, First Bank and Trust, but it really does provide, distribute the responsibilities. Some are ours, some are facilities, and so we greatly appreciate your partnership in this as well.
I'll note that the inside looks wildly different. The last time you've been in the building was when it was still operating as Runnings. It looks very different, not just the open area and the things that have been removed, but some electrical work, lighting, painting. Once it's gonna be opened up to the public, I think they'll be pleasantly surprised. And at some point, some of those improvements will start making their way to the outside as well. So,
Yeah.
It's an exciting project.
New bathrooms.
New bathrooms, right?
I'm very proud of this project.
Yes.
It's the perfect partnership between private entity, public, and so it all came together somehow, some way. We're excited to open it up for all types of activities.
There's been a team working on the planning of opening this facility.
Yeah,
They've been working for months, days.
months, months. So we have a mock budget put together of, any and every expense you could, think about, including reserve funds. So not only do we wanna open up the facility and then turn it over, but then how can we also build up some reserves to continue to improve as things, deteriorate or age, knowing that it's still an older facility. So we put together a mock budget, as well as what that fee schedule will look like and the access, what's that scheduling look like? So it's hopefully day one when it opens, it's somewhat smooth and less clunky, but we know that we'll have to continue to progress and figure out where those pain points are and be nimble from there.
Open date
Oh, gosh, you really put me on the spot now. Trey,
ish.
The release in November.
15th, November, didn't say it on there.
Yeah.
Okay, November, yeah, we're hoping November. In a perfect world, we'll have deeded the actual facility over to the city. Come November, But I know some of it's tied to the demolition of the nuisance facilities as well, so. Between the two of us, we'll look at it. So, yeah, hopefully, in the coming weeks, we'll see the exterior come to life as well, with new signage and some facelift.
Parking lot fixes.
There's some, most of it's gonna be torn up and turned into gravel, I mean, right around, yeah,
I was just thinking mainly the.
we're doing what we can, but yeah, it'll be, that's where it kind of goes back to, we know we'll always want to continue to have that committee active, so we can continue to pick up those items that still need some attention. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be usable, and I think well occupied.
I've heard a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz about it, so it's really nothing negative that I've heard on the facility, so. It's a good addition.
It'll really take a lot of stress and strain off the city armory. You know, the booking of that, I mean, it's busy so much, you know, as well as the community center, so.
Hopefully it'll help some families stay in town for practice during the winters, they're running the city
Yeah.
halls.
Mhm.
We hear a lot of that, a lot of miles put on.
I'm excited for it too. I'll make a motion to approve Madison Athlete Development Facility naming rights agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 6, authorize the mayor to sign the agreement for the use and restoration of the Hall Road with Lake County. Jameson, you want to address that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is tied to our restricted use site facility that is being proposed and developed on the west edge of the county. This morning, we had received approval from the county commission on our conditional use permit. Had a few conditions on there relating to screening with fencing and trees, and also this Hall Road agreement. Tonight's agenda item is related to that agreement. It states that in the event of construction, that both sides will inspect the road for its quality, and specifications beforehand, agree on what those are. And then after construction, the city is gonna be responsible for returning that road to that same condition. And then after that point, they would inspect it, and then, once it's to everybody's satisfaction, we'd be released from obligation further from there. So, the county approved theirs and this morning, and they're looking for our end to be approved tonight.
Questions or comments?
That was as presented in the packet, that agreement.
Correct, yeah, no changes.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement for the use of the reconstruction of the Hall Road with Lake County.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 7, award bid number 932, 2023 cable purchase to Wesco. And again, Jameson, you want to address that one?
Let's ask Nate to come up. This
Yeah,
is related to the utility department, and he can walk us through what this is for.
This is an attempt to get some inventory built up with long lead times. We're depleted our inventory pretty tight, so this is gonna be to facilitate some of the growth that's possibly gonna happen next year, but it's mostly gonna be for our personal inventory to keep things going the way it is. You can see there's 2 bidders on this. One of them was disqualified because it didn't meet the manufacturer specifications. So you can see the recommendation to award the bid to Wesco. Any questions for me?
This won't just be sitting around, we have intentions to use it, upgrade in the next.
Just kind of, I'll give you more of that. Right now, you're kind of in a period where you're gonna have to invest quite a bit in your infrastructure on the electric side over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. So right now, with the lead times, we're gonna want to invest and build our inventory a little higher right now. And then as we start to taper off on the backside of them projects, that 10-year plan, then we can tighten our inventory back up, maybe the supply chains will loosen back up. We'll pay attention to that throughout, but right now, I think this is probably the best strategy to use with your inventory to keep your projects moving forward and not get yourself in a bind if something burns up, so.
So the intention, this will be consumed rather quickly. It's not to sit for 10 years.
Correct.
It'll be on the ground.
Any of this stuff is gonna be, on this bid is already has projects in the pipelines for it. So, it's not complete project size quantities, but it's enough that it could get us going in them projects. Say we run into, like some of the stuff was 32 weeks out, say we run into a 50-week lead time, we might have enough to get us by to get that project started a little earlier while we're waiting for the next batch to come in. So that's kind of the strategy behind it. It will not sit around for 10 years. I will guarantee that unless you decide to cease all work and improvements to the electric. So.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to award bid 932 to 2023 cable purchase to Wesco.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Nate. Number 8, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 2, Madison Water System improvements to the water tower.
We have 2 change orders to the water tower. I'll take them one at a time. This first one is, it's a reduction in price of $17,400. So this would remove sandblasting on the exterior of the tower pedestal. So our staff and our engineer have determined this is not a necessary activity or not necessary for the tower. However, it's more of an aesthetic thing. So the way Ryan described it to me is that sandblasting is purely aesthetic. And in the case of a water tower, it creates a more even look through the color of the concrete. So it's not necessary, and we believe the concrete looks fine, but if you guys would like to see that some of that concrete color comes out more, you could simply not approve this and then the work would still occur. If you do approve it, then it would reduce the cost of that water tower project in the amount of $17,400.
Questions, comments?
We approved this, we're getting our money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor to sign change order number 2, Madison Water System Improvements Water Tower.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 9, authorize the mayor to sign change order number 3, Madison Water System improvements to the water towers.
This change order is adjusting the time completion on it because of the derecho that occurred in May of 2022. As we know that tank was lifted off the ground, they're estimating around 4 foot and then dropped down, which caused the damage to be to the point where they were not able to repair it and they had to take that tank apart, rebuild the tank, and it put us a year behind. So this changes the completion deadlines on the project from November 3rd of 2022 to December 1 of 2023. That'd be substantial completion time. The final completion would be January 31 of 2024. It's a 13-month extension due to those damages.
And we all went through the derecho, so we know what kind of damage it created. Questions or comments?
Recommendation is
Super.
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor to sign change order number 3.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, public comment. Pat, would you like to come up to the microphone and wants to talk about the restricted use site?
My name is Pat Schaefer and I'm the adjoining landowner to the restricted use site which the city is planning to develop. And I know that it's too late for changes. All the approvals have happened on the local level with the city commission, the county commission. But I just wanted to go on record to say that I'm still opposed to the site that was chosen. I simply do not believe that the commission, I'm not going to point to any individual, did their due diligence in searching for a site that would have been acceptable to the adjoining landowners, closer to the city, less exposed to passerbys, as opposed to a piece of property that sits high on a hill with nothing to put around it and at the current time. So that being said, like I say, I know it's too late for changes there. I also would just like to comment on the process for a person like me or the ordinary citizen in appearing and giving testimony. Everyone that I asked the question of, and I mainly communicated with the city administrator, were very gracious, very helpful in answering questions. How does this work? Who do I talk to? Where do I go? When are the meetings? But if you don't know the question, then you're not going to get an answer. And I'm sure I missed questions sometimes. The process is just very confusing to us. So a suggestion that I might make, and I know you have many policies and procedures, but perhaps the development of flow charts or timelines or something that could be handed to somebody and say, this is what you do, when you do, how you do it. And my third comment is I understand that the only remaining thing that needs to occur is the permitting needs to come from the state, from the Department of Ag and Natural Resources. And I understand that there's also a public hearing time for that application. So, and I think I read in the rules that you don't have to provide this answer for me, but I guess my question would be, where is that publicized? Where does the DANR say, we are holding a public meeting for the restricted use site in Lake County. Here's where it is, here's when it is, and here's the materials we're going to talk about.
I can get you that answer. I don't have it right now, but I can certainly get that for you.
Okay, thank you. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
And Pat, just from things in that I've read with the DANR, oftentimes they don't necessarily hold a public hearing locally, and that it may be a public hearing held in Pierre.
Yes,
Okay.
I understand that.
Okay. Karen?
Karen Potter, I guess you've seen me before. I have a lot of same things that Pat has said. I deeply oppose this. It's the wrong place. It's taken out of the ag sector. Right now, you can't dig until you get a permit. Is that true?
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have a terrible thistle problem out there. So who's ever in charge of it? Needs to be taken care of now, because they're seeding. This property was called up 2 years ago. Why do we have to keep on this subject? Thistles are a year, you spray every year in order to keep them under control. So this needs to be addressed for the surrounding areas. Pat's, Dick's, ours, whatever. So that is a problem. I hope you address it. It's probably not minimal as the way you guys spend money, $500, $1,000 to spray is not gonna be bad. But I don't know if you realize it, you just look at the property, you got 3-foot thistles sticking up all over the property. So very, very bad deal.
Thank you. Okay, under announcements, the next regular commission meeting will be Monday, September 18th at 5:30 PM. And do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Yeah.